Okay, guys. Um, as we're continuing with the essay retrospective, I just figured that there's some parts that we should cover. Like I might have glossed over them, but like it wouldn't be a complete retrospective without speaking about certain things. For example, like Ellis Park and the refereeing scandal, and Safa stunts as well. But we're gonna get to that. So today I'm just gonna go off the sidetrack a bit, and we're gonna talk about Ellis Park. It's a three-parter. I'm outside, as you can probably hear. So you'll just forgive me for the sounds and everything because inside the house is chaotic. So I'm just outside. I'm just recording. Uh, yeah. Any outside noises that you might hear, I apologize for them once again. But let's get into it. This will be part one of, I'm thinking three, if not four parts, covering the Ellis Park disaster. So, let's begin. So, the Ellis Park Stadium disaster was an event that occurred on the 11th of April 2001, which unfortunately 43 people passed on. In terms of the scale, it's the largest sporting tragedy in South African history, and it surpassed the Oppenheimer Stadium disaster, which happened on the 13th of January in 1991, when a game of Chiefs and Pirates, ironically, they played one another, and the stadium had a capacity of 23,000, but it was later found that 30,000 were admitted. Now, in the Oppenheimer disaster, it was reported that, the admitted fans, one of the big errors anyway, was that the admitted fans were not separated by seating numbers or team, like support of team. I think this is now like a modern staple in football. When you buy a ticket, for example, it has your seat number and it has the entrance in which you need to go in. And you can't just change seats because you'd find somebody has that seat and such. But it probably stemmed from this situation, along with other situations in world football, like for example the Hazel disaster and Hillsborough disaster as well. So getting back to the Oppenheimer disaster, as we're providing context into what happened to Ellis Park, reports indicate that how things began to kick off was that the referee allowed a goal that Chiefs scored, and the Pirates fans objected. So the story goes that like the Pirates fans threw things at the Chiefs fans, and some of those Pirates fans even began attacking Chiefs supporters. This triggered a stampede where the other fans who tried to escape were trampled or crushed to death, and as a whole, the incident claimed 42 lives. A similar issue of crowd control came up when, once again on the 11th of April 2001, 10 years to the event, funny enough, Chiefs and Pirates were scheduled to play at Ellis Park, which has a capacity of 60,000. Reports suggest that there was an estimate of 80,000 fans who attended the game. Not necessarily in the stadium. 80,000 fans attended. They were around their stadium. They were at the stadium and around. And keep in mind, Ellis Park had a capacity of 60,000. Official reports indicate that there were 62,000 tickets that were printed out and 52,526 were sold. But even regarding the remaining tickets, which were probably like complimentary tickets, prize giveaways, that sort of thing, an excess of 30,000 people, that's just madness. More people forced their way into the stadium, and that triggered a crowd rush and it led to the deaths of 43 people. As a result of the national tragedy, the government launched an inquiry on the 20th of April 2001, roughly a week after the incident, into the disaster, and it was chaired by Honorable Justice B.M. Ngwepe and also co-signed by Advocate I.A.M. Semenya SC. And essentially the commission of inquiry was just to find out the causes and outline possible solutions for prevention of future incidents, such as this. And, what we found out reported about the incident in the news, it was just like a bare summary, So I took it upon myself to actually get the report, the entire 133-page document, read through it, and make sense of what they were said. And so in summary, I'm just going to bring up certain parts of the report which you may find interesting, So yeah, thankless job, but I enjoy what I do. So yeah. As I mentioned before, the Commission of Inquiry took inspiration from 3 previous reports, naming each of them. Firstly was the Hillsborough Stadium disaster, headed by R.T. Honorary Lord Justice Taylor from the 15th of April 1989. The Committee of Inquiry into Crowd Safety and Control at Sports Grounds, chaired by Mr. Justice Popplewell. And finally, the Commission of Inquiry into the Orkney Stadium disaster, aka the Oppenheimer disaster, which was chaired by Roger Sishi. Apologies for the mispronunciation. So what the report brings to light is that there were 2 previous attempts to schedule the match which were unsuccessful because of 2 reasons, being national team call-ups and fixture congestion. The stadium itself, Ellis Park, it's a world-class facility actually, yeah. And it has other things like internal, external PA system, a medical surgery unit, a SAPS charge office, 2 spotter kiosks, and electronic evacuation roller shutter gates, which can be controlled either jointly or manually. The stadium also had a joint operations center, which had a panoramic view of the stadium, and in the JOC on the day of disaster was a rep for the stadium who was manning radios for 2 security companies, a rep of the Visible Policing Unit of SAPS, the reps of 2 security companies, a rep of JMPD, and a rep for the league, who shortly left there afterwards, before the match took off. Now, in preparation for the match, Ellis Park management, the management for the stadium, they had contacted several security companies to offer specialized security services for that day. And of those 7, 4 were chosen, which was, there was Wolf Security Group, who were primarily hired to control access into the stadium by checking tickets and routing supporters. And for this operation, it deployed 2 special event managers and 302 special event officers. There was APS, Security Services, Associated Prevention Services. They took care of the VIP areas, and they stationed 72 officers to take care of it. There was Stallion Events Management, who were supposed to man the gates of the outer perimeter and parking areas and deal with small conflicts if they came up. They ordered around 145 control officers, 18 armed guards, and 70 reaction unit members. Finally, there was Diligence Protection Services, and they were hired to ensure security of the field, tunnel, change rooms, bars, essentially the areas where players had access to. And for that, they deployed 18 officers. Now, the PSL itself During match days, they also provide officers. It's more like stewards, but for this instance, they provided 150 security personnel, most of which were security personnel comprised from both chiefs and pirates. And their main responsibility was to help at like the outer perimeter of the stadium, assist with crowd control and channeling of the spectators. SAPS was also there. They deployed the Public Order Policing Unit, the Visible Policing Unit, the Mounted Corporals, which is the cops with the horses and shit, and a bomb disposal unit. And JMPD, as the event was in Johannesburg, they also issued a disaster management unit. So from the report, it can be gathered that a majority of the stadium's entrances were well covered. The main point of concern was essentially the main gate, and it was positioned near gates 4, 5, and 6, and it had been previously privy to congestion. Now, the plan that was put in place by Ellis Park management and like the stakeholders involved was that like the stadium management was to erect scaffolding near the main gate, for supporters. But the area where the scaffolding was placed, as it turns out, according to stadium design, it served as an exit point for evacuations, And according to the commission, the footage of the emergency rescue operations showed an ambulance whose access to the pitch could have been impeded by the scaffolding at the tunnel entrance. So that was already like strike one, So if we're following a timeline of shit going down, things were first brought up at the first stakeholder meeting, the operations meeting, I should say, on the 27th of March 2001. And as you came to find out based on transcripts of the meeting, there was sort of an understanding that gates 4, 5, and 6 were an issue. And I quote, "Mr. Chairman, can I just raise a few problems at the risk of being a pain in the butt? We're shooting ourselves in the foot there at gates 4, 5, and 6 with every big man. We know now what a trend is, and we still keep on doing what we were doing. We don't have enough ticket booths. At every single match there, we need the police to come and help us out because they break the gates down because there are too many people and too little tickets." The speaker continues on with the following. Quote, "But the bulk of our people come through at that gate. The bulk of the stadium comes through there. And 12, which in this case refers to the booths, the ticket booths, is not enough. The problem is really soccer is," and then parentheses. "When we started doing soccer, the people used to come in at 8 in the morning to come watch the game at 4 in the afternoon. Now when a game is 8 at night, they arrive at 7. When we've got 20,000 arriving at 7, we just don't have enough gates to get them through, as simple as that. And we are all fine. There's no shouting and screaming until the main match starts. When all that whistle goes, they break the gates down. I mean, it happens to us every match, and we just ride it through and are being stupid." End quote. Second operational meeting takes place on the 3rd of April 2001, which is 8 days before the match. At the second operational meeting, more concerns of the gates are arisen, along with suggestions that the PA system, the public announce system, has to be upgraded to enable announcers to be able to channel supporters to the right seats and all of that. Notably in the report, there's a large mention of the use of the big TV screen at Johannesburg Stadium, now known as FNB Stadium. Now, this wasn't the first time this was brought up, as it was thought of a way to for supporters to watch the game while they wait in anticipation to buy the tickets, you know. Back in the day, you could buy tickets at the game. I think that practice is mainly scrubbed out now. Like, nowadays, you can't do that. What's more concerning is the general attitude about the idea being described in the minutes of the meeting. And I quote, Mr. Chairman, if I can recommend we have it done in the past, we put up a big stream outside in North Park Lane. North Park Lane is in FMB Stadium there. Then the guys who are late don't get agitated. They can watch the game if they are a bit late. It takes the pressure off. They turn not to, end quote. I understand this is quite expensive. Yeah, but it is crucial. Yeah, we used that as a solution at Kings Park before, but it costs us a good 40 to 50 grand. I just have one problem with that big screen, Mr. Chairman. I agree that while guys are buying the tickets, it's great. But once he has bought his ticket, he doesn't give a damn about the big screen. And that's when our problem comes. Because the big screen is right over there and he wants to get in here. Mr. Chair, I would disagree with that because we work NPL, that's North Park Lane, and that thing since prior to us having the big screen and do not understand its financial implication. But prior to that, these guys used to come here and break down the gates every game. As soon as that big screen went up, we never had that problem again. I don't have a problem with that, but maybe we just have to talk to Chiefs and then let's go 50-50 on the big screen. Otherwise, we put the big screen and there goes our money for the night. End quote. Yeah, as you can see, profit over safety at the time. I get as an event organizer, you have to think about these things, maximizing your profit margins, but at the same time, it should not be at the danger of public safety. Once again, the idea was brought up on the 3rd of April operations meeting. And I quote, is the big screen going to be at the ticket sale offices at NPL? End quote. At this stage, it's not. Is there anything at Johannesburg Stadium? We had a meeting with them. He's got to come back to us if we can get it on or not. The problem is that they are setting up for Greece. Greece, I'm assuming, is the stage play like Greece, which I don't know why the fuck you need a big screen TV for Greece, but okay. They're putting the equipment in there and they want it locked off. So that takes the big screen out of it then. We've had quotes and need to talk about it straight after this, but they tell me it's an expensive exercise. End quote. Now, as I'm reading the report, it's clear the decision makers wanted the screen as additional support to help alleviate pressure, But as much as they wanted it, the unfortunate thing is because of, and I quote, cost implications, it wasn't used, and it, along with other factors we will get to, played an unfortunate major role in the outcome of events that took place on the 11th of April 2001.